Hello, my name is Chris Martell. I'm from Warner Lake First Nation. I was born and raised in Saskatoon. Water is my second home, but I like to say it's my first home. During my life, especially in the last 5 years, I got a lot of stuff given to me. And there's one stick I got given to me. I hadn't really like it, maybe like 3 or 4 like it. But this one was given to me. This is a powerful talking stick. And I was going to do a talking circle, but it takes about 3 hours to do, so I'll just explain about it while the prayer is going. It's given to me by an elder, and I only did about maybe 3 certain circles since the pandemic, because wasn't much going on during the pandemic. So this is one of the talking sticks I got. So as I this is my first time telling my story in my life. I never got to tell my story to anything, to anybody or anybody. So I'm humbled for being here to tell my story. I thought maybe telling my story will help you see what I've been through, and I've been through a lot of mental health struggles. And I like to share my story. So as I'm sharing my story, I'm going to hold the stick and, to help me. I've been walking the red road for about 5 years now. I started my healing journey in 2018. I was living not like a drug and alcohol life, but I was just living mental health life. I was feeling I lost a son in 2010. He died tragically in a foster home. So I blame myself for that death. And so I was living homeless. And by homeless, when you think of homeless people, you think you're living like in a cardboard box on the street or begging for money. A lot of people are homeless doesn't mean that they're living like that. It's that they don't have a home. I was living from place to place, family member to family member, feeling sorry for myself and not wanting to help myself. So that's kind of homelessness I was living. And I was living with mental health, so I wasn't doing any good for myself. I was too afraid to touch any alcohol, so I was just not living good for a long time. And then one day I just decided I'm not going to live like that no more. I got to heal myself. So that's what I did. I started on this healing journey, and I'm still living on it since. It's been 5 years now. And in the meantime, I've spoken to a lot of elders, seen a lot of people, and I was even given a pipe. And I continue to just walk this road as a pipe carrier now. And I'm sharing my story with you. So, imagine this, as a young child growing up, I myself have seen PTSD, and I had PTSD. CPSD is child post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of us have trauma, like that. The other gentleman here shared a story about him growing up seeing alcohol and drugs. A lot of us grew up seeing alcohol and drugs, or fighting, or violence. And it's good as men to accept how we grew up and what we've seen, and try to move forward from that, to break that intergenerational trauma that we all have. So imagine yourself as a child growing up, and they come take you away for residential school, or they come take you away for foster care, or they come take you away for 60 scoop. Imagine waking up the next morning with a new family, don't know who they are. Imagine waking up the next morning on a steel bed in a dormitorium with other children as in residential school. Or imagine being adopted out to a family far, far away. I remember hearing a story about this lady a long time ago. Was at FSI Youth Conference. She was a 60 scoop survivor, and her parents broke up, and the dad took her to Europe, raised her till she was 14, and then made her as his wife at 14. So from 14, she had to be his wife, bear his children. It was just a wicked story. And That's how she grew up through 60 Scoop, and I always think about that. So imagine driving on the road. There's kids in the back seat. There's music playing. Next thing you know, the car veers off and crashes. And everyone starts crying. And the woman in the front seat passes away. And the guy in the front seat starts opening up a beer and starts drinking while the kids are crying. They're crying because the mom's dead. Well, that was my grandma. Imagine growing up as a kid and then playing outside, and then you're telling your kids, go back inside, play in the basement, somebody will see you. That's how my mom grew up, and their siblings, because they had to hide from the residential school people, so they wouldn't see them. That's intergenerational trauma. Seeing that, experiencing that. Especially growing up, I grew up with seeing a lot of alcohol and violence. I thought the normal thing to do, I remember waking up at night as a little kid and being told we have to move or we have to go. So that was my childhood. It was getting woken up in the middle of the night. We have to go. So pack up my stuff, we're out of here. It happened all the time, and I thought that was a normal thing. That kind of affected me to my older age, because I do that when I was in my marriage, and I'm divorced now. I used to do the same thing. I used to pack up my stuff and leave, because that's intergenerational trauma. You grow up with that, it's passed down. It's like watching all the drinking. Remember telling myself that. Remember that gentleman said that, like, I don't want to be like my father? Well, it's the same thing I said. I said, I don't want to be like my father. Watching my family drink, all the violence growing up, and that's the exact same thing. So growing up in Saskatoon all my life, I grew up with all that alcohol and violence, and in the midst of that, my mother finished school, and she got a degree, and she did well. Even though my dad was an alcoholic, he still went to work and worked hard and made sure I had the things I need. But still, in my teens, I had boxing. They kept me out of gangs. I joined a gang and used to carry around a knife and help sell weed. And that's just the thing in the new city of Saskatoon, is you carry weapons and you act tough. And I was in boxing, so it kept me away from doing the crimes, but I still sold weed and I still followed the gang life. And then my son was born when I was 24, and I've been sober since. So I've been sober 18 years now. I never touched a drink. And I thought when my son was born, he's not going to see me the way I see my dad or my family. So that's what I did. I became sober. So I worked and supported my son, and then I always wanted to join the United States Army because I had family. A couple of members from the reserve joined the United States military, so that's what I did. I joined the United States military, and I ended up getting charged with common assault. I had an argument with my son's mom, and I got charged, so I couldn't really go back to the States after that until I dealt with that charge. And then my kids were placed in foster care at the time, my two sons. So I got the one son back, and I was only a week away from getting my son Evander back, just 1 week away. And that happened to him. He died in that bathtub. The hot water was left right in, so he was scalded to death. That was the hardest thing to go through. When they told me, I was with the mom, and they told us to be together, they're going to come tell us, and they brought crisis nursery to come tell us what happened. I was living in the hood at the time. I just got a job at the casino, so I was working, trying to deal with trying to go back to the States and get my sons back before I went back to the States. And I thought they were going to come tell us about their son, about the good news that he's going to come back. But they told us, no, some other news we have to come tell you. So me and my ex waited, and they came told us that my son passed away. And my ex lost it. I tried to keep my cool, and when the worker said, I think we should call the cops. I said, you just told us your son died, and she's clearly upset, and I'm upset. You want to call the cops on us? So the workers left us on the lawn crying. Well, what a horrible experience to experience that. They told your son's dead, and they just leave you crying on the lawn. Then after that, I had to fight for answers about my son Evander, because I never got any word about his death or any from the soul services or nothing. So for years, I fought hard for him during that time. So I started off with some walks, and I did, I think about 12 walks in 7 to 8 years. And then meantime, trying to get answers for foster care and changes. And it was very hard because I kept getting doors closed on me. No one answered my calls. I remember at my son's funeral, FSIN used to give me their cards and say, hey, we're there for you and stuff. And I called those numbers, they never picked up or called me back. So all through those years, I did all this fighting alone. And that's what I do with post-traumatic stress disorder, because all those years it's just me fighting. So as you can see, I had mental health, trying to fight all the whole time, and I was living homeless and not working, feeling sorry for myself, and not asking for help. Because you, as a man, you kind of feel you have too much pride to ask for help. So I put it in you to be feeling that way, ask for help. I wish I asked for help. I would have been stronger than I am now, and been able to fight harder, but I did my best. I fought my way, and then one day I got divorced and I was missing my girls. I got 3 girls now, but at the time I had 2 girls. I was just laying. I just said I have to do something for my kids. So one day I just woke up and I went join the teepees in Regina for foster care. I went join them for a couple months, and I saw what's going on there, and so I decided to do healing for justice, I call it. So I opened up my own teepee in Saskatoon at the river, and we had 2 teepees there. And we started these sharing circles to help with their pain. And we did one every night for that. I think I was there for 10 days. But there are 2 weeks total, but for 10 days we had sharing circles. And every night a lot of men came. And sometimes late at night men came with their pain. And a lot of people in foster care came there, shared their stories. And I can't really tell you what they said, because what happens in a circle stays in a circle. But it was a lot of stories of foster care and pain, people's residential school pain, and being abused, and we shared that the whole week, and I shared my story, and then a lot of elders came, visited, and shared their wisdom and their stories, and it was very uplifting. 2 weeks we had there. A lot of people missed that camp. It was called Healing for Justice, and that's when we started the sharing circle, and that's when I got the stick. And in those circles, we got to say what's in our mind and how we're feeling, let it all out. Because in men, a lot of us times you don't want to say what's going through our mind or tell people. I know I did it. I didn't want to be seen as weak or crying my story out or come join my pity party. You think that as a man, like you don't want to do that. So many years I did things alone. And you shouldn't do that alone. You should invite family in, be with friends, you know what I mean? As men, we have to do that. We shouldn't be ashamed of our past or what happened to us or anything. Remember my grandpa shared a story, Marcel, my grandpa Marcel. He's from the reserve here. He said he was sexually abused in residential school, and one day he had enough. At age 12, he had enough. He hopped on a CN rail train that took him to Moose Jaw. He said, and he hopped on another train, took him to Estevan. He hopped on another train that took him to Michigan. And from age 12 to 16, he worked on the farms. His whole family thought he was dead. Because that's what happened when he went to residential school. When you go missing or they think he died. So they all thought my grandpa was passed away and dead. So he came back when he was 16, just to share a story how he was abused in residential school. That's why he ran away. So my grandpa told me that story when I was younger. I think about that story once in a while. How you just overcome things, you just want to take it out of your own hands and fight your way. That's what my grandpa did. So that's what I had to do with myself. Because it's one day, just before I started this healing journey, I was depressed for one whole weekend. About 3 months before I started this healing journey, I was depressed, and then I tried to hang myself. So I hung myself to the door, and I was just about to pass out, and my brother knocked on the door, and he opened the door and he saved me. I didn't ever tell that story, but if it wasn't for my brother, I wouldn't be talking to you guys today. Depression and suicide go hand in hand. They're like best buddies. It's which one you give your time to. That's the way I think of it. And it's a powerful thing that suicide can take over your mind. And we deal with it lots up north and all around. And it's easy to think that suicide is an easy way out, but it's not. Elders tell us that when that happens, we're stuck between two worlds and there's no way out. So that's what elders tell us. We won't see our loved ones, we won't see our kids. We're stuck in limbo for eternity in that other world. And I think about that now. But elders also told me that our time on earth is short, very short. We miss those loved ones that are gone, but we'll see them again because we'll be with them for eternity. So I think about that. But my time on here is short. Do the best we can, and the best way we can. And then when our time comes, when the Creator, we'll be with our loved ones for eternity. I'll be with my son for eternity. I'll be with his mom for eternity. His mom committed suicide 5 years ago, before I started this healing journey. After my suicide attempt, she did a suicide and she didn't make it. So she passed away a month after my suicide attempt. And that's what I knew. I had to bring a stop to this. So my kids don't have to live through what I lived through, experience what I lived through. So as men, you got to think about your kids and family. When you have mental health, when you're going through those thoughts, just remember your kids and their family members when going through that mental health problem. Because, like it says, intergenerational. I wanted to stop that generation from happening to my kids, so I made that decision to stop that and work hard. So after I did that healing journey 5 years ago, I started traveling around Canada and meeting elders, and I shared my story in private like I am now. This is my first time talking openly about my journey, and as I traveled around Canada, I met elders and people started sharing their stories of like me, we've been through some sort of trauma, some sort of trouble, because everybody has a story. Everybody's been through something. So I got to experience all that and listen to people's stories, and it gave me confidence to help others, and that's what I do today. I try to help others the best I can. And I was helping men through men's groups, and I joined a brotherhood. I was helping men through a brotherhood for a short time. We're feeding the homeless. I still help feed the homeless, but I don't really share it on social media because who you're showing, like when you help the homeless or help people in need, you're not showing social media. It's the creator that's knowing your good deed. So that's the way I think of it. So I don't really post me helping the homeless, but I do my best to help out in any way I can. And I believe as men, we should do that. And another one of my buddies that we started helping with men, he's up north. I grew up with him in elementary school, and I met him. I told him everything. All my friends, they joined me for a short time to help out the homeless. And one of my friends is doing it right now. He's up north. His name is Christopher Martell. It's called the Men of the North, because we had a men's program in Saskatoon, and we're doing that thing. But now he's up north doing that. So congratulate him. And as men, we have to come together and work together, and don't be so prideful of our past. Accept it, own it. As a man, owning your past is about owning who you are for the future generation, especially our kids. Because what happened to us is not our fault. The way we grew up is not our fault. The way our parents were raised is not their fault. They weren't showing you love in residential schools. Those priests and nuns didn't show them any love. Those foster parents didn't show them any love. Those 60 schools workers didn't show them any love. So how do you expect them to show your kids love? I kind of think of it that way to overcome their bad experiences growing up. Because it's easy to blame parents or you're upgrading on your parents, but you got to remember how your parents grew up and how they were raised the same way, or even worse. And they dealt with it through alcohol and violence. And stopping that generation right there, it's like a whole new chapter, a whole new time. Like the Marvel movies, when he said, like a time travel, and you start a whole new timeline with your kids. If you stop that generational trauma, that rocky road that you've been through or your parents go through, they won't go through. And that's the way with my kids. I think of that way. I got 5 kids right now, and 3 girls and 2 boys, and I stopped that generational trauma from happening to them and pass it on to their kids. So keep that in mind that you have the power to stop that generational trauma and start a new future for your kids. Because life is short. Just got to enjoy every minute that you can with your children, and you remember that suicide and mental health, they go hand in hand. And either one can be hurtful to your children, your family, and your loved ones. Because you don't think of that when you're in that type of mindset. You don't think about your kids. You don't think about your loved ones, your friends. Maybe they'll find you that like that, or they see you drinking and doing drugs, and it's not the way. And I felt like the Red Road really helped me overcoming that mental health. It really helped me. I met a woman. Her name is Grandma Vicky, and she's from Standing Rock. And her husband, they wrote a book about her husband. They heal people all around Americas and Canada. That's the one who made me a pipe carrier. She heard my story and she invited me over there. So I went all the way to Wikwamakan, Ontario, the Highland. That's where I met her. She came from Standing Rock, and she healed me. I used to have nightmares, people passing away, and she took away my nightmares, and then she made me a pipe carrier. They said the pipe comes to you if you're ready. If you're supposed to get the pipe, it's supposed to come to you 3 times in your life. You can say, "No, I'm not ready. No, I'm not ready." I thought maybe it came to me, this will save my life, but I didn't know it would be a hard life. No one told me being traditional is a hard life. So they gave me that pipe, and I took it, And then they told me life will be hard. And it is harder than it was when I was homeless and mental health. But it's rewarding life because my kids get to see me as a traditional person. My family gets to see me as a traditional person. And I can pass down my pipe to my sons. And I see it that way as a positive thing. But walking a red road is a hard road. It's a rewarding road, but it's hard. And I'm very happy that I took that route. I just decided one day that to end my life in a positive way. And that's what I did. I didn't choose the other way. I'm here now talking to you, telling my story. So I suggest that you, as men, define your own healing journey like I have. Either through work, promotions, further your education. Me was learning the way of our peoples, our old ways, learning from elders that helped me heal. Also, I use the gym because my flight mode is pretty high, so anything can get me going. So I use the gym as to help to control my adrenaline. But as men, I suggest that you find your own way of healing and dealing with your past, and either through sports and recreation, hunting, quadding, joining groups. Like I joined a bunch of men's groups with other men. That helped me. Being around brothers, because that's what we are. We're brothers. We're here to help each other. We're here to not to compete against each other or find out who makes the more money, or you know what I mean, or who has a better girlfriend. You know how men are, but to work together as men, especially in a community type setting. That's good to work with, and a lot of tragedies have been happening ever since COVID. I know I lost a lot of friends to suicides. I lost a few friends to fentanyl that new drug that's around, and it's sad. And we just have to work together with our families and be there for them, because we're men. Like, when I was younger, I used to thought being a warrior meant like you're going to war. That's how I wanted to always be a warrior. I was in boxing, I was in MMA, I was in kickboxing. I fought pro MMA. I got my gold gloves, silver gloves. I wanted to go where the shit was. Sorry. Up in Iraq, I wanted to go fight. That's what they told us. That's where the shit was. But that's not being a warrior. Being a warrior mentality is being there for your family, being there for your friends, showing that you're strong, even educated or working hard, being a provider, being a protector. That's being a warrior. I wish I learned that when I was younger. You didn't have much, when you're in your city growing up, there's not really much native role models back then. Especially in the city, there's a lot of gangs and drugs. So now there's a lot of role models today, and the youth today are learning from these people being educated and sharing their stories. And my story, hopefully you take what I've been through and my story and share with other men. Because I talked to a lot of men in the last 5 years. Like I said, I was part of a men's brotherhood and joined up with a bunch of other men and talking, sharing circles, and a lot of men are hurting. And a lot been through a lot in their past. A lot are too strong to share what they've been through. So, me sharing my past, even though I never wanted to share my past, I just kept it to myself. I didn't want to share it to the news media that much, or I always hated talking about my story. But me coming up here, telling what happened to me, it's an honor to share my story with this group. I thought maybe doing this will be better than doing a fast healing circle. Take from what I told you of my past and what happened to help you in the future. And on the end note there, after I did that healing journey, we had the teepees up. I met a lady from the United Nations, and she told me that changes are coming. I fought years and years for changes in the foster care system. No one wanted help. Not FSIN, not any reserve. I remember sending a package. It cost me about maybe $2,000. Their photocopy, make a nice professional package of this is how you get your children back. This is how we treat the government. This is how we can set our own laws, our own foster care. And I sent that to every reserve in Saskatchewan. I can't remember how many packages were, over 100 packages. And it cost me over $2,000. And the only 2 reserves I got back to them was pocket tubes and water gun, saying, we're interested. But I felt so sad, I just couldn't do anymore. This momentum wasn't, it felt like I was just trying to make that old record play over and over again. No one wanted to hear the record. So anyways, that lady from the United Nations, she was a Native woman, but she worked for the United Nations. She told me that Justin Trudeau heard my story and that he promised me that changes are coming. No one's supposed to know about that. And I didn't think 2 cents of it until she showed me a letter from Justin Trudeau. And I wish I would have took a picture of it. And sure enough, a year later, that's when we had the new child laws. We got all our kids back. So I tell people this, it's like, I woke up one morning, it's like, wait, you ever watch a Twilight Zone and you wake up in another dimension? That's how it feels like. Like I woke up in another dimension, we got all our kids back. Because I fought so hard for those law changes. I walked over 2,500 miles, and I just woke up one morning, all our kids are back, got all our laws back. Like Water in the Lake First Nation here, we're getting our own child welfare, making our own laws. And that's a dream that I fought for years. And I never really thought that I'll see a day. That's why I feel like giving up, because that's what happens. When you have mental health, you feel alone. And if you're giving a name from an elder, I talk to a lot of young people. They've been given names. I mean, a lot of young men too. They've been given names by elders, and a lot of people don't feel like they live up to that name. And you got to remember that it can happen any time in life. A lot of people say, "Oh my, I got a really good name, but I don't feel worthy of it." Or a lot of young people are scared to join ceremonies because a lot of protocols and things are involved. They're afraid to step on toes or get people elders mad. So I just gotta remember the young ones that encourage them to go more to ceremonies and to attend. But when I got my name, the elder told me out of sweat, he goes, I seen you walking and fighting. He told me. I looked at him, I was like, I was 19. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, yeah, I seen you walking and fighting. He goes, and I told him that, well, I'm thinking about joining the military. I told him. He goes, I don't think it's that. He goes, I seen you walking and fighting. So 2 weeks later, he told me, come to my house. He was from Pine Ridge. He was visiting Waukegan, where my family's from. I'm part Sioux on my dad's side. So I went to the ceremonies with him, and he gave me the name Akisha Matumani, which means Dakota Walking Bear Soldier. So he gave me that name, Walking Bear Soldier, and he said that he see me walking and fighting. So with that name, I thought he meant that I'm going to join the military and going to be fighting. So that's why I joined the military, thinking I'll be going to Iraq and fighting with like my cousin did or my friends did. But that never happened. So I didn't feel worthy of my name. But come to think about it, all the walks I did and all the fighting, that's what he meant. That elder meant. Walking bear soldier. That's what I was doing. I was walking and fighting. And after my healing journey, I wanted to reconnect with my reserve water hen. Because a lot of my family left. There's not one family member living here in the reserve anymore after my grandpa passed away. So I wanted to reconnect with the water hen. So after we had those teepees, I walked here from Saskatoon. That was one of the hardest walks because it's dangerous. I ran off the road maybe 4 times. A truck almost hit me. By caution, I rolled down like an embankment with my cart, and I almost broke my leg. That was one of the hardest walks because it's hilly and a lot of semis and stuff. So yeah, I walked here from Saskatoon. It took me almost a week. doing 13, 14 hours a day walk. That was one of my hardest walks, but it was very healing because we had the Waterhead juniors playing, and we had all the youth walking with me, showing them. That was very powerful. And the counselors, when we got to where my grandpa had this little pool hall there, my grandpa had a little pool hall. We walked up to there, and they said, they're expecting you at the Powell. You have to be there in half an hour. So it's going to be a 45-minute walk. I said, okay, we'll get in and drive. Okay. So I told everybody to get in their trucks and drive. So everybody got in their trucks and drive. And I pretended to get in the truck. And I shut the door and I just started running. So I had a couple of the councils running with me. One of them was Fleury. He was in his Austin Power boots. David Fleury was running in his fancy boots there, plus 35 weather. I felt bad for those councils, but I made him run. So I ran there to the Pablo, and I made it there in time. Yeah, well, that was but during those walks, too, that was healing because every walk, I got to talk to myself. Because you want to do it in front of people or family or friends to see you like that. So when I did those walks, I got to talk to my son. I said, sorry. I tried to explain to him the situation, what happened. So every walk I did, it was just me. It was just me in the highway. So that was some good healing. I got to see him walk beside me, and I got to tell him about his siblings. Because I did those walks in the 8-year period. So each time I did a walk, I tell him like, oh, you got another sibling, or your brother's getting older. And he was there with me spiritually. And because you're walking for 12 hours a day, hundreds of miles, so you get to be alone. So on those lonely walks, I got to talk to him, and that was healing. Do that. Just those memories of walking are hitting me right now. So I never told my story about walking, but I remember before I did those walks, I never really heard about anybody walking or anything. So it just came to me one day that I should start walking. I did, and I remember walking, and first time I remember, not the first time, but I remember I met her and I was walking, and that was on the Mill Road. I was smelling bring our children home with wood sticks, and Vern didn't say hi or shake my hand. He just walked up to me and he started pointing sticks. I thought that was cool. And I met a lot of people on the road, on those walks. A lot of people shared their stories, and a lot of people had the same stories. We either lost kids or a child died in foster care. And I got to experience all that. And like I said, everybody has a story. Everybody's been through some sort of pain or trauma, or grew up with some sort of abuse. Like I said, it's not her fault. It's not her parents' fault. But it's up to us to find that healing. No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to knock on your door and say, "Hey, you ready to get up? Let's go do some healing." No one's going to do that. No one's going to phone you up and say, "Hey, there's a sweat. Let's go. I'll heal you." No one's going to do that. It's only you have to pick yourself up and get that healing. Because and it's well worth it. It's well worth it. And as a surviving mental health and going through that, it's rewarding, especially this red road that I walk on, and I highly suggest that you find that, even if it's Christianity or any type of religion that you're in, go with it. Find that good road, like I have. So this is my first time talking about my life story. In 13 years since I passed away, and I never shared my story once, never talked about it once, never spoken publicly about it. So this is my first time, and I think I thought it'd be better to tell my story and do a rush sharing circle, because it takes 3 hours. So I thought this would be better for me to open up about my story. And thank you for listening. And I'm gonna smudge one more time. And thank you. I'll put my medicine away. So thank you for hearing my story. Bye.